Ghosts of the dead are believed to replay a brazen execution in Chicago's Lincoln Park, a haunting massacre forever tied to a day synonymous with love. And one of the most famous gangsters in American history reportedly believed one of the victims followed him for the rest of his life. Welcome to the Unexplained Paranormal Report, where we investigate mysterious events, hauntings, strange encounters, and everything unexplained. On February 14, 1929, 7 men were lined up against a garage wall and shot to death in what became known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Perhaps it was the sheer ruthlessness of the crime that kept the victims from ever truly moving on. The original garage at 2122 North Clark Street was torn down in 1967. Its infamous brick wall dismantled and eventually sold off to collectors, leaving behind only an empty lot, and if the stories are true, the victims reliving that horrific day for eternity. But tearing down the garage may have not been enough to leave what happened there behind. Turns out the blood-soaked bricks were more than just debris. Several collectors reported strange events after coming into possession of the bricks. Hauntings, unexplained noises, bizarre accidents, even illnesses. In other words, the bricks were cursed. Over time, some of the bricks were moved to museums where the strange occurrences reportedly continued. There's more to this haunting than just a wall of bricks. The 7 victims, and apparently even the perpetrators themselves, are still said to haunt the site of the violent massacre. What people report hearing makes you wonder if the massacre is somehow replaying itself again and again and again. Phantom machine gun fire is heard by locals, along with groans and heavy thuds, as if the victims are collapsing to the ground all over again. And it's not just sounds. Shadowy figures have reportedly been seen moving around the site, sometimes appearing only for a moment before vanishing. Others claim to have seen men dressed in clothing from another era, almost as if the victims and their killers are still there, trapped in the final moments of that February morning. But perhaps the strangest haunting connected to the massacre didn't happen at the site at all. The man who conveniently happened to be in Florida at the time, and of course had absolutely nothing to do with any of this, for some reason believed he was being haunted by one of the victims. That man was Al Capone, and the ghost he reportedly feared was James Clark, one of the 7 men killed that morning. During his confinement at Eastern State Penitentiary, Capone reportedly became convinced he was being haunted and could be heard frantically screaming for Jimmy to leave him alone. But leaving Eastern State didn't mean leaving Jimmy behind. Capone claimed the apparition followed him for the rest of his life until his death in 1947. Nearly a century later, the garage is gone, the wall has been scattered, and everyone involved is long dead. But if the stories are true, what happened that Valentine's Day never really ended. Is this simply a haunting born from one of America's most infamous crimes? Or did the violence of that morning leave something behind that even time couldn't erase? Let me know what you think. And if you have a paranormal experience or an unexplained story of your own, send it in. Your story could be featured in a future episode of the Unexplained Paranormal Report.